My topic is going to be on my introduction to music and how it changed my life. During my childhood, I hardly ever listened to music. I would listen to it when it was on, but it never appealed to me enough for me to go and find it for myself. Whenever downloading music off the internet became a big thing is when I eventually started to get into music, with some help from some of my friends. The first two genres that I really got into were hip hop and rock and roll. I was introduced to hip hop by my friends and rock and roll by my dad. The genre of hip hop started in the late '70s to early '80s with acts like the Sugar Hill Gang, Eric B. and Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, and LL Cool J. From there, it progressed to acts like Tupac, the Notorious B.I.G., Nas, and Jay-Z. These acts eventually led us to today's acts like Drake, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Future. Rock and roll, however, started somewhere around the '50s with acts like Chuck Berry and Elvis Presley. It then transitioned to the '60s with bands like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Led Zeppelin. During the '80s, rock and roll transformed as a genre and was led by the acts of Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Bon Jovi, and Metallica. From there, things got grungy with '90s bands like Nirvana, Alice in Chains, and Smashing Pumpkins. One of my first introductions to the rock genre was from the band Nirvana. Nirvana is probably one of the most popular bands from my generation. Another person that I was introduced to by my dad that sticks with me to this day is Peter Frampton. If you haven't already heard the song Do You Feel Like We Do, look it up and maybe you'll see why it stuck with me. My first introduction to hip hop came from the artist Eminem. Eminem is probably one of the most popular rap artists of all time. Another artist that got me into hip hop was 50 Cent. The more I learned about music in its entirety, the more I picked up on how artists made their music. One thing that I noticed in the hip hop genre was something called sampling. Sampling is when a producer uses a piece of another song and implements it into his own beat. This used to be done by using vinyl records and turntables. Today it is much easier to do so. This act called sampling is something that got me really interested in music to the point where I began trying to produce myself. Today, instead of using vinyl records and DJ turntables, there's a program out there called Fruity Loops that allows anyone to create music from their very own laptop. This is a program that I used when I started. From here, I produced a couple of songs. As you can see from the picture, there's a lot that goes into it. I think that schools should embrace programs like this for art because I know that it is something that is interesting to the kids and will keep them engaged in learning. Music did not only give me a new hobby, it also helped give me a new perspective from hearing different music and different lyrics from a bunch of different artists.